Hey everyone, I'm Nadine and welcome to Bookish Nook. As May comes to a close and June is right around the corner, which means summer, and I'm so excited, so that means even more reading. But alas, I am doing my May wrap-up and June TBR. I read 9 books, 2 graphic novels, and 1 novella this month, and I'm pretty happy with that because a lot of the books I read were pretty thick. So yeah, let's just dive in. The first book that I read at the beginning of the month was Game of Thrones by George R. Martin. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I loved every second of it. It was so fantastic, and the TV show is just as good. The first graphic novel that I read this month was The Walking Dead Volume 13, Too Far Gone. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. I love these graphic novels. They're so fantastic. If you are a fan of the show and you're looking for something more, because the graphic novels don't follow the show kind of whatsoever, so if you want more of that world, I would definitely recommend picking up the graphic novels. The second book that I read this past month was City of Lost Souls by Cassandra Clare. I picked this up in preparation for City of Heavenly Fire. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars, of course. This story is so fantastic, and I'm sure everyone's read this, but if you haven't, go pick it up. The third book that I read this month was This Girl by Colleen Hoover, which is the third book in the Slam series. I think I talked about this in an update video or a wrap-up for the About a Books or Yearathon. I can't remember what it was. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars simply because Colleen Hoover's writing is fantastic in this book, and the reason why I didn't really like it was because it's more of a summary of the past 2 books as opposed to a continuation. It is a companion novel, so I guess that's what you get with it. So I would recommend reading this if you want to jump back into the story like a few months or a few years later after you've read Slammed and Point of Retreat. The fourth book that I read was The Evolution of Mara Dyer by Michelle Hodkin. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars, and I actually wasn't going to give it a 5, I was going to give it a 4 until I read the ending, and the ending just blew me away. The series keeps you guessing, and it's so exciting. So this is the second book to The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer, so definitely give these a shot if you're looking for sort of like a psychological thriller, but YA. The fifth book that I read was Breakable by Tamara Weber. I gave this a 3.5 out of stars. I was actually really disappointed by this book. It wasn't at all what I was expecting, because this is a companion novel to Easy. If you don't know what that is, it's a new adult book, and new adult things ensue. Essentially, I would recommend reading either Breakable or Easy, and then between the two, I would recommend reading Easy. The sixth and seventh book that I read was Burned and Smoke by Ellen Hopkins. Smoke is the sequel to Burn, so I reread it, as it's been years since I've read it. I gave these both a 4 out of 5 stars, yes. They deal with really heavy subjects, so like physical, emotional abuse, sexual abuse, hate crimes, stuff like that. It follows a girl named Peyton as she is raised in a religious family that has a lot of alcohol problems and abuse, and she sort of gets kind of into a little bit of trouble, and then gets shipped off to her aunt's house for the summer, and there she finds herself in a different world, and then a bunch of things happen that leads up into Smoke. I liked both of them despite their heavy topics. The only novella that I read this month was Happenstance by Jamie McGuire. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars because I felt like it bit off a little bit too much. It should have been divided into 2 novellas and elaborated on different aspects on each of them. From a comment from one of my past videos where I talked about it, the person said that Jamie McGuire is releasing all the novellas in print once they're all published, so I think I'm going to wait to continue the series when they're in print. The eighth book that I picked up was My Life Next Door by Huntley Fitzpatrick. This was the Chiclets Book Club pick for the month of May. This book has been floating around BookTube for a while now, as you probably know, and it's just about a girl who has neighbors who are like chaotic. They're a massive family, and then she's sort of part of a small family where her mom is really strict, and she falls into this new life with the neighbors and the guy she obviously falls in love with. This is a very fluffy, light contemporary, until the ending. I was caught off guard with something that happened in this book, and it kind of made me like the story a little bit less because I was expecting just a light, fluffy contemporary. That's it. I wasn't expecting anything more than that. Although it's not a bad thing, It gives the story a little bit more substance and the characters an added layer. But either way, I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars and I loved it to pieces. The last book that I read this month was none other than City of Heavenly Fire by Cassandra Clare. Where do you even begin with this book? Because there's so many feels after you read this book and during it, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I loved, oh my god, every second of this book. I know that a lot of people think City of Fallen Angels and City of Lost Souls are kind of pointless books. They're not as good as the original trilogy, which I agree completely. However, I think this book is so reminiscent of the original trilogy that it was just perfect. It was like a perfect ending for a perfect series. I loved every second of it. There's so much going on, and there's if you haven't read this, you gotta read it fast. You gotta read it fast. I might be doing a separate review video for this, really short, and then maybe talk about a few things in a spoilery section. I'm not sure yet. So yeah, this was the last book I read this month. And the other graphic novel that I read was Saga Volume 1 by Brian Vaughan and Fiona Staples. Let me just say, I've seen so many people on BookTube talk about this book and how good it is, but they always said that there is a lot of adult content, and I kind of brushed that off, didn't even really think about it. But wow, is there so much adult content. It just, from the beginning, there's adult content. So I wouldn't recommend this if you were younger. I'd wait a bit. But either way, it is a fantastic graphic novel. If you can get past that kind of stuff, it was so fantastic. The characters are so unique, and the narration that is through it is hilarious. There are some bouts of humor, although you have to be sort of have to like that kind of humor. It's almost dark, crude humor. But I loved every second of this. I can't wait to dive into the second volume, which I will be ordering soon. So on to my TBR, sort of. I am currently reading A Clash of Kings by George R.R. Martin. I've been reading this for the past 2 weeks, I want to say. City of Heavenly Fire was coming out, and then a few days before it came out, it put me in like a sort of reading slump for this book, because I was just too excited for City of Heavenly Fire. And then after I've been slowly making my way through it, I'm at page 675 out of 969. So I really hope to finish this by the weekend so that I can participate in the Yearathon. So the Yearathon this month begins June 2nd to the 8th, I think it is, and the theme is Rick Riordan. I'll be making a separate video for that closer to June 2nd. I'll probably post it on June 2nd for my TBR. So the Chiclets Book Club pick isn't up. They didn't even put the poll up, which I am not surprised since most of them are going to BookCon. I'm super jealous, but alas. So I will definitely be reading that book, whatever it is. But I also plan on picking up Fire with Fire by Siobhan Vivian and Jenny Han, which is the second book from Burn to Burn. Though I rated Burn for Burn kind of low, I did enjoy the story, and I am excited to see what happens next. I also plan on picking up Alienated by Melissa Landers. I've had my eye on this book forever. Ever since Jennifer Armentrout did a review for it a while ago, I've been just waiting for this to come out. I finally bought it. It has some mixed reviews, so I'm excited to see what it's about. Ever since I finished the Across the Universe trilogy, I've felt like a hole in my chest for like a sci-fi alien story. Hopefully this fills it. The last books that I actually plan on reading this month are the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy by Jenny Han. I have heard nothing but good things about this trilogy. It's supposed to be like a super light and fluffy contemporary about a girl who goes to like a beach house with her mom and her mom's friend, who also happens to have 2 boys, and then you can just kind of guess what happens from there. So it consists of The Summer I Turned Pretty, It's Not Summer Without You, and We'll Always Have Summer. And you can barely see them, but whatever. Since it's June, I'm really looking forward to like more summery type books. I can't wait to dive into these, and yes. So that's everything, and let's see if I can do this. Okay. Okay. So, let me know if you read any of these books or plan on reading them. I hope you had a fantastic reading month in May. If not, I hope June is better. Bye!